Walter Football is in the house. All right, welcome back to the Onebar and Lupagus show, special edition of On the Clock with Walter from Walter Football today. Walter, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's I was on last year, and it was a great time. So I'm excited to talk about the draft again.
Yeah, we're gonna have you every year until you tell us to get lost, which is definitely a possibility. But we love having you on. We said it last year, we're gonna say it again. You are the godfather of mock drafts. You are the old man when it comes to mock drafts. So definitely a go-to for many. I know a lot of our viewers reference Walter Football a lot, but make sure to check out the site. We'll have the links down in the description, YouTube channel. We'll put the Twitter links down there as well. I definitely tune into the YouTube channel as well. So it's good stuff. So check it out. What's going on in your world right now? Just mock draft city?
Yeah, pretty much. We just posted a mock draft yesterday, just our updated 2022 mock draft. Going to have an updated 2023 mock draft as well tomorrow. And just trying to catch up, personal note, we just had a son. He's turning 3 months old tomorrow. So I kind of feel behind, but that's kind of par for the course for the draft season. I always feel like I'm in a rush to get everything done. It always works itself out. So I think it'll happen again.
Yeah, it always feels behind, but then all of a sudden when it's over, you get the post draft day blues, and then it's a whole different emotions.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, what do I do? As soon as the draft's over, I'm like, what do I do? There's so much time.
I know what you're going to do. You're probably going to bust out a 2025 mock draft because that's how you roll.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have a 2024 mock on the site too that we posted last year. So yeah, I feel behind in that regard too. I have to get my 2025 mock up.
Well, you're definitely not behind on the 2022 new mock draft yesterday posted. In your latest mock draft, you have the Vikings taking big man, spoiler alert, big man Jordan Davis from Georgia. So I want to get your thoughts on this. Was he too good to pass up on? Was the value too great? Are you feeling a need where you might be reaching a little bit? Or is it the perfect storm where the value is there and it's a need?
I think it is a need. It isn't like one of the greatest needs, but I think it's definitely a need. The Vikings, I feel like they have to get better up front, and Jordan Davis was the best player available. So it's kind of like, when I do this mock draft, I kind of go down my big board and I say, okay, who's the best player who makes sense for this team? And that's how I did it. I could have gone in a couple directions for the Vikings pick. They have, like I said, they have some other needs. But I think Jordan Davis is the best player available who makes sense for them.
So other needs you mentioned, cornerback is obviously one of the big boys with the Vikings. We're seeing a lot more Jordan Davis. We're seeing some other players where all of a sudden cornerback isn't overly out there for the Vikings. But if you're starting a franchise and you can pick from any three of these top cornerbacks, which one in your book are you taking? Who's your number one corner?
I think it's Stingley. Ahmad Gardner has gotten a lot of hype, based on his combine and also just how he performed last year. Stingley's dealt with injuries. But what we saw from Stingley, the 1 year he was healthy, was just amazing. It just looked like he could be one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Whereas Gardner looks like he's going to be a good starter. I don't know if he's going to be a great player. He could be, but I think Stingley's on another level just based on his tape when he was healthy and athleticism. And I know the injury issue is a concern. But I think it can vary from year to year. Like I always point to like Fred Taylor, who was known as Fragile Fred. And then he used to get hurt every year. And then at the end of his career, he had like a 4-year run where he didn't get hurt. So I think injuries, it can be consistent at times, but it could also be fluky. And I just wonder if like Stingley just had some bad luck and he could get healthier.
Fred Taylor. I had him in my twilight years in fantasy. He was a steal.
Yeah, he definitely was a steal. I had him in my several fantasy leagues as well.
Yeah, it was a steal. I still didn't win. But anyways, so I should have asked. I just assumed. Is McDuffie your number 3?
Yeah, I think so. I would say I think there's a big gap between Stingley and Gardner and then McDuffie. And then there's another big gap after those guys. like it feels like people are grouping those three together. But Charlie Campbell, our senior NFL draft analyst, he's talked to some teams, and they both have, or like the teams he's talked to have Gardner and Stingley way above McDuffie, and then they have McDuffie way above the other cornerbacks. So I think that's where I'm looking right now.
McDuffie, can he play outside in the NFL?
Yeah, I think so. I think he could play outside, inside. Yeah.
You just settled a Lupagus and Onebar bet, which I appreciate that.
No problem. I had no idea, but
I didn't pay him off, Lupagus, so don't give me any of that. So Vikings, let's say they go the Jordan Davis route in round one. Is there a guy after round one that stands out amongst the second tier cornerbacks that you think could come in and make an impact as a rookie?
Yeah, I think there are a few guys like Kyler Gordon. He could be your pick after that. He could play outside and in the slot, kind of like McDuffie we were talking about. He's smooth. He has good discipline fundamentals. Booth from Clemson, he could maybe slip to round two. I have him in round one. He's a good skill set and talent. There are questions about his football IQ. But I think he's a good player, but you never know. I mean, he's projected to go at the end of the first round, but guys always fall. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a healthy group of cornerbacks in round two that you can get.
All right. Once again, joined by Walter from WalterFootball. Every year we see it. We see some names get very hot later in the season, in the draft season, I should say. Who's a name that you watched stock rise just the most over the last couple months?
I would say, I mean, anyone in a Georgia uniform, right? I mean, they were so good at the combine. We talked about Jordan Davis, how he, I was watching the combine with my wife, and like we're watching our son, and like I was like, this guy's gonna run really fast, like maybe 4.9, and then he ran a 4.7, and it's like, are you kidding me? Like I couldn't believe how he ran at that speed. Like he ran faster than Patrick Mahomes, which is crazy. And then you had Trayvon Walker, who. And I was looking at my past mock drafts from like February and January, and I had Trayvon Walker going to the Eagles with one of their picks, 15, 16, 19. And now he's in play for the number one pick. The Jaguars may take him number one. They're leaning toward Hutchinson right now because they think he's safer, but they believe that Walker has the higher upside. So he's definitely consideration of one. And I think if he doesn't go one, I think he's going number two to the Lions. So like that's how much he's raised his stock. So yeah, like I said, anyone in a Georgia uniform.
Boom. Bust potential. Top 15 player right now that if you're a GM would scare you the most.
It's heard some negative stuff on Kayvon Thibodeau. Like he's someone we had number one overall during the season, and he has like unreal athletic ability, and he's had great production. But there's so many concerns about his passion for football, and I saw someone talk about how he was interviewed by one team and during the combine, and he mentioned his brand 6 times during the interview. And I was like, do you love football, or do you love the money you're going to make from football? That's the concern I have with Thibodeau. Now, like he could always become a freak Pro Bowler, like perennial Pro Bowler. Like he has that upside, but the downside is definitely real. And I think that's what scares. It's scaring off the Lions and the Jaguars. Like he's not in consideration for them.
Your latest mock, again, spoiler alert, still check it out. You got Kyle Hamilton falling one pick before the Vikings. So last year, the Vikings really wanted Rashawn Slater. He goes one pick before us. This year, Kyle Hamilton's a very hot name when it comes to the Vikings at safety. So to do another one like that, one pick before us, would be another punch to crotch. Do you think he actually, I mean, you buying into his 40 time, do you think he actually falls out of the top 10?
So some teams don't like him very much because they're concerned that he doesn't have a natural position, kind of like Isaiah Simmons from a couple years ago. Like there's some teams who think, okay, yeah, definitely safety, but there's some other teams who think he has to move to linebacker. So they just don't know, and that's the concern. Like I said, Simmons is concerned for teams. Like they point to that. And so I don't know. I think there's a chance. There's definitely a chance. I think he falls out of the top 10. I've had him as low as 15 in my mock drafts previously. And yeah, the Vikings could definitely take him at 12. He definitely makes sense for them at both safety or linebacker. Like if they want to put him in either spot, that would work. But like just the concern about his natural position plus his combine stuff. I think that moves him out of the top 10. I've seen some mock drafts with him like going number 2 or number 3, and I just don't see that happening.
Not buying it. He's Walter's given us some hope that Kyle Hamilton could wear that beautiful shade of purple. We'll see. Speaking of beautiful shade of purple, Tyler Linderbaum, do you think there's anything there with the Vikings at 12? Is it just a huge reach? Do you think there's no chance in hell they go there?
I don't think they go there. It wouldn't surprise me if they do. Like, I mean, he's I think he's a terrific center prospect. The problem is that he can only play center, and he has kind of that limitation. So it's not like someone you can move out to guard, so like a center only guy at 12, maybe a little bit of a reach. But I think his natural position is probably a little bit lower. Like I have him number 14 to Baltimore right now. And I think that's probably is going to be the ceiling. Like I think he's like a 14 to a 20 player. Like I think the Steelers wouldn't let him past him unless they trade up for a quarterback. So I think it's probably his range, like 14 to 20, maybe a little bit lower. But I think that if you take him at 12, like I wouldn't grade it as an F or anything. I think I'd probably put it like a C+ or a C.
C+, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Walter busting off some draft knowledge. A couple more for you. Interior offensive line for the Vikings, definitely still a need. Aside from the big boys in round 1, even an early round 2, is there anybody in like round 3, possibly beyond, that you could actually see being a starter in this class early?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy. Well, maybe I shouldn't say easy, but it's more likely to find a starting guard in the middle rounds than other positions. Like you see it all the time. Like guys go 3rd, 4th, 5th round, and then suddenly they start right away at guard or center. So I think you could definitely do that. Jamari Sailor is someone I'm looking at. He played tackle in college, but I think he moves inside in the NFL, and I think he makes a good transition there. Luke Fortner from Kentucky, he can play guard and center. I really like that versatility. So I think he goes on day 2 at some point. Chasen Hines, the only concern with him really is his lack of length, but I think that he's probably someone the Vikings could target on day 2 as well.
All right. I like it. You say, it should be easy to pick out some mid-round guards. Vikings have failed miserably at that with Drew Samia, but and you watch all these other teams find these beautiful nuggets in the mid rounds at guard. We just haven't done it yet. New regime, never know.
Yeah, it could happen, definitely.
So as Vikings fans, clearly we're most likely, unless there's something shocking, they're not going to be on the radar for any of these first round quarterbacks. So ideally, there's going to be some quarterbacks taken before us, pushing somebody back. Am I smoking anything? Do you think there's realistically, how many quarterbacks do you think could go in the top 15?
I think 2 go in the top 15. So with the Panthers are a pretty I think they have to take a quarterback, right? Like they can't go into the season with Sam Darnold, and they already said that they don't want to trade for Baker Mayfield. So it's like, okay, who are they gonna get? Like it's not. I don't think it's gonna be Jimmy Garoppolo, or like they would have made that move already, or we would have heard something. So they can't go into the season with Darnold. And they don't have a 2nd or a 3rd round pick. So it's not like they can wait for Matt Corral or Desmond Ridder. So they almost have to go quarterback at 6. And I think Kenny Pickett makes the most sense for them. And then I think someone takes Malik Willis as well. I think he has more upside than Pickett. You see quarterbacks rise all the time. Like the quarterbacks go higher than they should. Like Daniel Jones a couple years ago went number 6 when he probably should have gone in the middle or late in the 1st round, right? So you always see these quarterbacks rise up. This quarterback class reminds me of that 2019 class minus Kyler Murray, like where you have Daniel Jones and Dwayne Haskins, and it kind of reminds me of Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis. Like guys, like if teams are more excited about them, we'd be talking about them like going number 2 to the Lions or 3 to the Texans. But they're not excited about them. But with their potential, some teams are going to take them in the top 15 for sure.
Love it. And then it's a disgusting comparison you just compared them to, but it's probably fairly accurate. All right. Bold prediction for draft day. You got anything?
Yeah, I think the Steelers make a big jump to get Malik Willis. I think they go up to number 9. Or no, actually, I think number 7 I think they move all the way up to secure their quarterback because I think they may want to go ahead of Atlanta because the Falcons, they saw Mariota, they traded Matt Ryan. I think that's a pivot point for quarterback. And they could be terrified that the Falcons would take Willis because the Falcons last year, they were really considering Trey Lance. If Trey Lance had fallen to them at 4, it sounded like they were going to take Trey Lance. So like knowing that, maybe they know that, maybe they don't, but either way, I think they might be scared. They like Willis a lot. And I think they kind of panic a little bit and make the move. We see, like we saw it last year with the Bears, like they moved up for Justin Fields. We see teams move up for quarterbacks all the time, and the Steelers don't really have one. They signed Trubisky. He's not the answer. I just don't see it happening. So they have to do something, and they can't count on Willis falling to 20. They just can't. So I think they move up, and I think they can move up all the way to 7. The Giants have two picks in the top 10. So, but they have a lot of holes. So I think they can move down.
Wow. 20-9. I love it. I love it. It is bold. Once again, Walter from Walter Football, as always, fantastic. Love it. Love it. I got one more for you. So you said your son's 3 months old?
Tomorrow is going to be 3 months. Yeah.
3 months. At what age do you think he'll rip out his first mock draft?
I'll be teaching him, while he's trying to walk, I'll be teaching him how to write a mock draft. So I think babies walk around 1 year old. So maybe 1 year and a month. I think that's the good target date.
Yeah, get him on that thing.
Yeah, right.
All right, Walter Football, appreciate you hopping on, man. This has been fantastic. Happy draft season. I know it's going to be fantastic. And as always, you do awesome work, man.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on. And I look forward to doing this every year.
Absolutely, man. Take it easy.
You too.